good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you're in the world. It is your Lord and Saviour. And on the 22nd of June, 2024, in the year of our Lord Telos, it's Free RPG Day. What does that mean? Well, it means that lots of people around the world in the TTRPG space are going to be running and playing a shitload of games at their local game stores, online, etc., and so fucking forth. And me, I'm going to be running Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition at my local game store. Am I going to be running the adventure in the core book? No. Am I going to be running the little booklet that Renegade are putting out for the event? Fuck no. I'm not going to be reading that the day it comes fucking out and then try and run it, although that would be a very interesting idea to do for like a challenge video, but no, this is not what that is. If you want to know what I'm running, it's an adventure that I've created that's now going to appear in a card up there somewhere, or might even be the other side, where I actually go through the entire process of how I actually put the whole fucking thing together. It was an interesting experiment to see just how shit Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition really is. And so if you're interested in what that entails, go and watch that now. But here, I'm going to be telling you the ins and outs about running this in person at my local game store. But this is actually going to start up with a very nerdy sort of like looking at the shit I'm going to be taking in that fucking bag. So let's fucking go! So already we have a couple of things in here in this little side pocket here. If you want to know more about this bag, I actually gave a little rundown of it in a video at the beginning of the year, which is now going to appear in a card somewhere. But first of all, we have this little A4 wallet booklet thing with like my various handouts and character sheets for people to use. We've got some notes on there for people to refer to so they don't have to bring a copy of the book. That's a mistake that I learned from the vampire one I run last year, which is now going to appear in the card for you to go and watch as well, which is actually a much longer vlog and a far more interesting one, I think, too. It was certainly a lot more enjoyable than the werewolf one, but you know, because that was just new and exciting. And you're going to have to ignore my hair doing that now, just, it's a thing. And we've also, of course, got the Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition core book. Fucking disgusting stuff. So I can have that to hand. Now, I am hoping that, because we have the Storyteller screen for 5th edition out there now, that my game store actually has that in stock, because that would actually be a pretty cool use of that, like, popping the cherry on a game on the RPG day. But if not, it's not the end of the world, because I ultimately really don't need that material. Because it's like, if you can run Vampire 5th edition, you can fucking run Werewolf. So I have the Vampire Storyteller screen here as well, just to hide my notes, and a secret handout, which I'm not going to share with you, because you can watch that in the Werewolf thing that I mentioned earlier on. So that's just going to sit there, along with my handouts and the core book. Obviously, we need something to roll our dice on, and we have a dice tray. That's an ex of mine made. I absolutely love this. I have a cloth here, as I've explained before, because it's a very loud dice tray, and because I'm autistic, I've got some sensitive ears, so that just deadens the sound a bit more. So that's going to go somewhere. These places aren't decided. I'm just putting in here to demonstrate that I'm putting shit in the bag. And if we're taking a dice tray, we're going to have to take some fucking dice. We've got some standard D10s here, because I ain't getting the fucking filth. That is the 5th edition ones. Nothing fancy. I got these when I started running V5. You know, because it's the hunger dice. So when I had Vampire, red is for hunger, blue is standards, but for Werewolf, it's going to be red for rage, and then, you know, blue for standard stuff. I was almost tempted, actually, to buy a set of green dice, but I really don't fucking need it. Lovely stuff. And in the front pocket, if I just spin that around for you, like so, unzip that. Whoa, Nelly! We've got a bit of paper that's kind of come out, and you've got a pen in there as well, so paper for notes in case I need anything. I will actually be needing that because all these characters that I showed you already are named. So when people take their character, I'm going to be writing them from my perspective. So okay, we've got Tim Fuck McGee is that person is that one, etc. and so forth. So I'm not having to wave at people, which is something that I learned with the vampire one to do. Very useful shit. And if anything else fucking wacky comes up, I can just make a note of that as well. So yeah, that's basically all I'm going to be taking, you know, besides food, water and whatnot. It's always a good idea to bring food with you, because you can never be too sure you know, first of all, fucking prices of things. I don't know if like actual conventions allow you to take food in there or water. I've never actually been one before, but if you can, do so. Also, I'm a fucking freak with like a billion food allergies and intolerances, so I tend to bring my food anyway. I'm like an animal at a zoo on a special diet. I'm also a walking liability on everyone's health insurance because I have an EpiPen. Hooray! But that's enough about me and my childhood traumas. Let's play some fucking werewolf. Are you ready to fucking rage? It is now the 23rd of June, so the day after the game, and it went really well. I arrived there, I asked for a maximum of 5 players. I was told there was going to be 4, and one of them was going to be late. The player who said they were going to be late arrived before everybody else, and then 2 other people arrived, like a couple, like an intimate couple sort of thing. And the 4th player never turned up, so it was 3 players in total, so bit of an awkward thing that, but that aside, it went really, really well. As I said earlier on, it was the same scenario that I came up with, and the players, they all knew they had never played Werewolf before. Like, 2 of them had experienced Vampire before 5th edition and a bit of V20, and one of them hadn't had any experience with World of Darkness at all. They read bits here and there, but they thought it all sounded cool and they wanted to give it a shot. So, gave them a bit of a history lesson, all as part of the game and the description of things, and they sort of learn as they play, as I tend to do all these things anyway. Yeah, and they're a lot more cautious about using their gifts and their rights, which I will get onto in just a moment, like being a bit cautious, and they needed a bit of prompting here and there, just say, this is always an option, rather than being too clever about it, like I had the scenario where they had to go and explore these 3 apartments first, and they're all doing all the investigation outside it and all the people inside, and I just had to say, you can go inside them, it's okay. Because there was 3 of them, they went in an apartment each, which I think was a very good way of thinking. And we did have a use of right, actually, the Right of Forgetful Record, which you may recognise from the Werewolf, the Apocalypse Purgatory visual novel, which I mentioned in my little review of that, which is going to appear on a card now, and also the 5th edition core book itself, where it uses Spirit of the Wild to like wipe out data records, fuck around with lights and tech or whatever, and they did that with some tech bros I had established that was supposed to lead the players to Pantera. However, I wasn't quite convinced that they were going to go there after speaking to these tech bros. They wasn't too sure if it was just like tech bros doing their thing. So whilst they did this whole right thing, and it was pretty cool how they imagined how it would work, they put all their phones and whatnot in the middle, and they like did chanting or whatever. It was pretty cool. I know the different rights in the V5 book have like a specific way of doing that, but I much prefer making it a lot more personal than that, because it's very spiritual, something that 5th edition fucks up with a lot. So once they did that and they like destroyed these tech bros laptop, I then had it assigned to the fact that these 3 parts of a femora, so they had to go and fight and deal with that, and they were very creative about taking that up, like jamming like a leg of a table or chair through it, and then one of the players had an idea with like a light and a little spray, like just setting the whole fucking thing on fire, which is pretty fucking cool. And they then they stole a bond of theirs and just like completely stoned out. So that was cool. It was a lot of fun. So the more that the session went on, the more comfortable they felt like using their powers and their rights or whatever. And unlike my previous group when I run this, they upheld the litany. So we didn't have any horse glogs, but we did actually have a brutal outcome. And there was a slight tense moment when I was explaining how that worked, that there was going to be like a really bad outcome. But this came about during a combat when one of them was in Krynos form. So they ended up doing quite a lot of damage to, I don't remember if it was a human guard or the big Anansi at the end. It was one of the 2. I don't remember, but it was in that final encounter. And we also had a moment where that player frenzied and they didn't care so much about losing control, as that's what they were going to do anyway, which I have some thoughts about. When I say that's what they were intending to do, I meant more like wanting to rip and tear everything apart, the opposition that is, rather than wanting to enter a frenzy. But I thought it was particularly interesting that there was a rather lack to it, whereas a frenzy in most scenarios is a more terrifying experience and how you losing control of your character. But given the context here, just ripping and tearing stuff, did it really matter? I just thought that attitude was very different. Like, no slight on the player at all, because fair enough. Like, it makes the narrative sense here, but in a much longer and more important chronicle, that could have some very grave consequences. Like if I wasn't like right at the end, sort of thing. And I thought it was interesting that the two different attitudes. There was the little chaos gremlin who was like causing mayhem wherever they went, and like if there was ever an opportunity to fall a fire alarm or cause a little fire to set off a fire alarm to cause a distraction, they'd do it. Compared to my partner, who was the one in the previous time they ran this, who was trying to weigh up seriously, where like, do I spend a point of willpower here to use one of my gifts later on, or do I succumb to a frenzy now and just hope for the best? Like, I thought that attitude difference was just very interesting, and maybe if things hadn't been so successful for the Chaos Gremlin player, it would have been a very different outcome. And those players actually did roll really well. As I said, the brutal outcome was in their favour. There wasn't any other brutal outcomes there at all, so they all rolled pretty lucky. And yet, whenever I hear and read things about people who play Werewolf, 5th edition Werewolf a lot, I hear a lot of people saying that they dumb down the rage mechanics, how they alter things so it's more in line with like the vampire frenzy, which is just the one to make it more potent that way, which I think is a very interesting choice. I actually hear a lot about 5th edition players like changing stuff to minimise some of the things, but yet they will swear by like it's the fucking gospel, which is an interesting choice. And of course, as things wrapped up, I did try and encourage them to play more Werewolf, because they seemed really keen with the idea and the system, which is awesome. I did obviously my little bit saying, all versions of Werewolf have like these really deeper spiritual elements, particularly some of the older material. The 5th edition's like really good for like that good entry point in there, which is something, it would be dishonest of me not to mention those bits. And that's not me trying to keep people out of like newer stuff, or like old man waving at the sky sort of thing, like shouting at clouds, you know what I mean. Like, genuinely speaking, if you enjoy 5th edition more than the older stuff, then great, all the power to you. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, as I've said many times before, I've played more 5th edition Vampire than older Vampire, which isn't because I don't like it, that's just what I've done. So, it's always good to be able to appreciate those different things and do the older stuff if those have the things that you're looking for, obviously. But yeah, they all really enjoyed themselves, and they all left the game all buzzing and like these big old smiles, so that made me feel really good as a storyteller. Like, getting these 3 players new-ish to the world of darkness, new to Werewolf, that got them excited and wanted to explore and play those different elements, and I hope that they explore all versions of Werewolf and find a version that's right for them as well. So their old tables are going to be having all those fun memories as well. That's what it's all about, really, regardless of what edition you play. And as for I really enjoyed it as well. It was really fun seeing them getting into it and like finding their way through it and coming up with some really cool ideas. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I also just love running games as well. That's like my jam with this. It fills a lot of creative itches for me. And of course, I didn't come away empty-handed. I came out with the little booklet, like Red Tundra, that module one-shot that Renegade did. I read it last night, and oh boy, do I have some really strong thoughts about that. In short, it's a pile of shit, but if you want me to do like a proper review of it, do let me know in the comments below. I also came out with a few other books. I came out with a Fallout RPG by Modiphius, and I also came out with a Pendragon by Chaosium and their adventure The Grey Knight. And I started reading this last night and a bit this morning, get the fuck off, and I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, I can't wait to play this a lot more. Run this and everything and so forth, and likewise with Fallout. So I'm actually going to carry on reading this now in the afternoon. That is once I've edited all these video stuff together. And yeah, and I'll sure let you know what I find of all of these and all the other fairy bits and pieces that I own. And if you want to find out various books I've done reviews for already, you can check out the playlist that's going to appear roughly now. And you can watch those book reviews at your own leisure. You can also subscribe and like my channel if you like what I do. Want to find out when every video goes live, whether it's a lore dive, character creation dive, book review, etc. and so forth. You can also purchase a whole variety of Werewolf the Apocalypse book in the description below. And if you purchase them with those links, I get some of the money back because I'm an affiliate, so I can continue to buy more books like the one I just showed you and all the other World of Darkness books that you love so much. And yeah, I just can't wait to run more games and talk more about the various things that I love, whether it's World of Darkness related or not. So I'll see you next time on the next upload, wherever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.